Waxwell may be the newest Toon to arrive in Dandy's world, but while everyone was focused on his release, something much bigger may have been hiding in plain sight. A brand new Toon of the Week has already been announced, and almost nobody seems to be talking about it. The reason is pretty obvious. Waxwell's arrival created so much attention that the next major event almost completely disappeared from the conversation. But now that the dust is starting to settle, there is one huge question the community needs to answer. Who is going to be the next Toon of the Week? We already know that Toon of the Week number 4 is on the way. The announcement teases a mystery Toon, with the usual promise of gameplay changes, quests, rewards, twisted adjustments, and even more surprises. That last part is always interesting because "and more" could mean practically anything. However, instead of trying to predict every single feature, there is one character who currently has more evidence pointing toward them than almost anyone else. Before getting into that theory, we need to talk about Waxwell, because his release has created a surprisingly divided reaction. Some players immediately loved his concept, while others were far less impressed with his design. In fact, Waxwell has already become one of those Toons that the community seems to either understand or completely reject. A lot of the criticism focuses on how edgy his personality is, but there is an important detail that people may be overlooking. His exaggerated attitude is probably intentional. Waxwell is supposed to be the kind of character who desperately wants to look intimidating and evil, only to constantly fail at actually being threatening. That becomes much clearer when you look back at his reveal animation. Waxwell repeatedly tries to cause problems for the other Toons, but somehow his plans never go exactly the way he wants. He attempts to steal Toodles' trinket only for the plan to fail. He tries to sabotage Sprout and Cosmo while they are cooking, but instead of ruining everything, he accidentally helps create something good. Then there is the moment involving Scrap's painting where Waxwell decides to vandalize it, only for Scraps to actually appreciate what he did. Even Goob ends up treating him like someone who needs a little sympathy. That is what makes Waxwell more interesting than his first impression might suggest. He is not necessarily a genuinely terrifying villain. He is trying incredibly hard to be one, and the joke is that he is just not very good at it. So while some players may dislike the design, the exaggerated personality appears to be part of the character's entire concept. His new trinket also gives us another interesting clue about the direction Dandy's world could be taking. Waxwell's trinket, Cherished Blanket, increases the duration of trails created by abilities by 4 seconds. It does not affect Toons that do not have a trail ability. That is a very specific effect, and right now its biggest benefit is obviously connected to Waxwell himself. But it also raises an interesting possibility. If the developers are introducing more Toons with trail-based abilities, this trinket could become much more valuable in the future. However, the biggest mystery right now is not Waxwell. It is the Toon who could be featured next, and there is one character who keeps appearing everywhere. Goob. The evidence surrounding Goob has become difficult to ignore. Recently, Goob has received an unusual amount of attention from the developers and the community. He has appeared in animations, promotional content, and even received his own Free Hugs animation. In that short, Goob walks around Garden View offering hugs to the other Toons. Of course, not everyone is interested in accepting one, and some of the interactions are exactly what you would expect from Goob. There are several moments in these animations that make the situation even more suspicious. Goob has been repeatedly placed alongside other characters in recent official content, and his presence seems far more frequent than it normally would be. Then there is another important detail. Goob has also been featured in promotional material connected to his plush. Individually, none of these things proves anything. But when you put them together, the pattern becomes much harder to dismiss. We have a Toon who has suddenly received multiple appearances, new animation attention, promotional focus, and merchandise exposure, all around the same period when another Toon of the Week is being teased. At this point, Goob becoming the next Toon of the Week would make a lot of sense. And there is an even stronger clue. Waxwell himself requires Goob mastery. That means players, trying to complete Waxwell's progression, have another reason to interact with Goob. When you combine that with all of the recent attention Goob has been receiving, it starts to feel less like a coincidence and more like the developers may be preparing the character for something bigger. If Goob really is the next Toon of the Week, the next question becomes much more interesting. What exactly could change? Toon of the Week events are not always just cosmetic celebrations. They can include changes to the featured Toon, new quests and rewards, and adjustments to their twisted counterpart. We have already seen previous Toon of the Week events modify abilities and behaviors. Tisha, for example, received changes to her ability that affected her pulse radius and interactions with ichor puddles. Her twisted version also received a behavior adjustment that made her interact with those puddles differently. So what could happen to Goob? His current mechanics already make him one of the more recognizable characters in the game. His twisted version stretches out its arm, grabs players, pulls them closer, and then attacks. Because of that, I do not think the developers necessarily need to completely redesign his behavior. Instead, they could make his existing personality more important. One possibility is that Twisted Goob could receive a unique behavior that makes him act even more like the normal Goob. The developers have already shown that twisted characters can receive changes that go beyond simply making their attacks stronger. Their personalities can influence how they behave during a run, and that leads to one of the funniest possibilities. What if Twisted Goob simply stops attacking Shrimpo? It sounds ridiculous, but it actually fits the character relationships we have already seen. If the developers want to use Toon of the Week as an opportunity to add personality-driven changes, Goob could receive something that reflects his relationships with the other Toons instead of simply making him more dangerous. Imagine encountering Twisted Goob during a run and seeing him react differently when Shrimpo is nearby. Instead of immediately attacking him, maybe he hesitates, ignores him, or even behaves completely differently. That would be the kind of small detail that could make the event memorable without completely changing how Goob works. Of course, this is still a theory. The developers have not officially confirmed that Goob is the next Toon of the Week. But when you look at everything together, the timing is extremely interesting. Goob has been appearing in official animations. He has received dedicated promotional attention. His plush has been promoted. He is connected to Waxwell's mastery requirements. And now the game is teasing another mystery Toon of the Week. That is a lot of Goob-related activity happening at once. So while Waxwell may have stolen the spotlight with his massive release, the real story might already be shifting toward another character. If the next Toon of the Week really is Goob, we could be looking at much more than a simple celebration. We could get new quests, rewards, changes to Goob himself, and potentially one of the most interesting twisted behavior updates yet. And if Goob is not the mystery Toon, then honestly, the developers have done an incredible job creating a trail of clues that points directly toward him. For now, all we can do is wait for the official reveal. But one thing is certain, Waxwell may have been the Toon everyone was talking about, but Goob might be the character we should have been watching all along.